welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. Great to speak to you on this penultimate episode of Labour of Love. We think. I'm assuming it is now. We thought that before. But yeah, all sort of narrowing down and becoming a bit more clear, I think, who she's potentially going to settle down with, if that actually happens. But where would you like to start today?
Well, I think we'll start with the first date. So she's set up, Kristy. She has to go to Kyle, Marcus, and Stuart's hometowns, where they live, see where they like the houses or apartments, and then she goes on a date with them in each. So we had like a 15-minute segment for each of them, and then we get like the sort of who's going to get voted off at the end. She starts with Kyle in Austin, Texas, and goes there. Now, Dave, I'm sorry, I've said this last episode. I'm completely calling out this whole show as fake, completely fake. I know reality TV it is fake. Even the stuff we do on Love Island, there's direction there. Even the fucking commentator on Love Island said it like a few episodes ago, we're doing the Australian one, saying like, right, well, you'll do you, Mark. The producers told you where to get up and walk off and all this. But this with Kristy, she's too polished for me, Dave. I have no question that she's never going to stay with any of these guys at all. And her and Kyle, there seems to be out of the three of them, probably the most genuine passion between them that I can see. It looks quite genuine. However, he's a bit, as the Americans say, a douchebag. And she goes to his apartment. I know. Yeah, he is. He's a cock, you know. Let's be honest. I think he's a cock. But you go to his house, and he's got all these bikes on the wall and all this. He's an athlete. He said that he's done volleyball, and he does a lot of exercise. And straight away we get that like drama music of like, oh, well, he's only got a one-bedroom apartment. This isn't what I want to see in a family. Well, Kristy, I'm sorry, love. It's 2020. Get a fucking job and get your own house if you're that bothered. You can move, can't you? I don't understand why that's even a fucking issue. If you're going to commit, I'm sure Kyle, despite what I think, I'm sure Kyle would step up and go, right, come on, let's get a house or a bigger apartment that's child-friendly. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, this is fucking bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Do you
So
not
Dave,
find, though, Chris, that
sorry, go on.
you've come in hot today, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was hugely shallow at best, calling out his
Yeah.
one-bedroom apartment. Before the
Yes.
show, he didn't have a fucking girlfriend. Why would he have a big house, a big family house? It's fit for purpose. It's okay for him right now. I do wonder, though, he's 38. He does come across a little bit immature compared to some of the other guys I think that we've seen on the show. I mean,
Yeah.
he had the South Korean flag up, didn't he? So he's obviously into some kind of martial arts or something like that as well, I'd have thought. Um, and I don't know. I just, mind you, would I have a one? I guess if I didn't have a family, why wouldn't you have a one-bedroom apartment? He's probably sat on. He's director of sales and marketing, isn't he? So he's making
Yeah.
fucking shitloads of cash, Chris. He's got a one-bedroom apartment in Austin, Texas. So he must be fucking minted. He must have squirreled away a
Exactly.
lot. So she's not seeing that. But do you not think, Chris, some people in life just cannot see beyond today, like how it is today? And so she's made that quite snap judgment. He's living in a one-bedroom flat today. We're about to have a baby. Well, normally, by the time you have a baby, you've discussed things like this. You've maybe saved up a little bit for your own little house that's big enough. Maybe it's a two-bedroom, so one for you, one for a little one. You've had those discussions, but this artificial petri dish that we're creating this relationship in, it's just totally bizarre. So, yeah, like I say, I thought it was odd, but she's definitely held that against him, I think, and can't see past today in his one-bedroom flat.
No, and you're right, Dave. Despite what I just said about, probably was a bit harsh on Kyle there, but despite what I've said about him, if he's listening, he's 6'8" and probably kick the shit out of me. But I'm just trying to be honest here. What I see. However, yeah, you're right. I think out of all the four people left on this show, she's the one who's the least genuine. And we'll get on to Stuart in a minute, but she's just not interested, Dave. This is purely a career move, this, to get on this show. She'll pop up on some other bollocks in about 6 months to a year when the relationship breaks down. All fake. I will be amazed if she gets pregnant by one of these guys. And I think you're right. Why would Kyle, all right, he's got a load of money. she doesn't know whether he's saved up. If he's a CEO, director, whatever, he could have hundreds of thousands of pounds, millions in the bank there. And he could just say to her, right, that's fine. I'll just get a house outside the city. The houses in America and the big houses are not like in the UK, Dave. They're quite cheap. So he could do that. I'm sure he could afford it. Austin, Texas isn't New York. New York's fucking horrendous, isn't it, for rent and stuff. It might just be an economical thing. If I was on my own, I'd be the same. Why the hell would I need a massive house when there's only one person? It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense, does it? It doesn't. So I agree. I think honestly, I think that's such a good point. However, I do think that he got the best date because he got to sort of lean over Kristy and rub her ass, which was bizarre. That was and he wasn't like he was just like patting it. He was getting right in there. It was like, what the hell?
It was a deep tissue massage, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's thought though, Dave. Sure, his tissues are getting a bit fucking bloodshot to him.
It was very, very strange, wasn't it? Again, when you're normally going through your Lamar's classes, I imagine, well, clearly you've had a bit of rumpy bumpy as a minimum. But, to not even, I mean, they've had a little bit of a kiss, haven't they? But then to get really quite intimate like that, I just thought was a bit uncomfortable for everyone. But yeah, I tell you what though, Chris, we've been sort of negative on Kyle's, sorry, on Christie's perception of Kyle there because of his whole, apartment and whatever. But after the whole awkward Lamar's class, Kyle really didn't seem to appreciate or like the fact that Christie had been married before. What do
Oh
you
yeah,
reckon to that?
yeah, he's not got a poker face, has he?
No,
That
not
was
at all.
like, she's 41, isn't she? The same
Yeah,
age as me, I think. So why wouldn't she have had a life before? That's just the way it is. Unless she's been locked in a cupboard for fucking 40 years, she's gonna have a relationship. So I don't see what, and I'm sure he's had relationships. So I don't get that at all. I don't know whether that was a genuine reaction or it was an edited clip, to make it look like he was bothered that she'd been married. I don't see
yeah,
what
yeah.
the issue is. I don't see what the issue is with that at all. Very bizarre bit of a storyline. However, Dave, she passes it off, gives him a kiss. She goes on a merry way, and she goes to see good old Patrick Bateman. I mean, sorry, Marcus in fucking Cincinnati.
Fucking
So
Dexter.
I'm telling you, he's got a lovely fucking line in wool fucking jumpers. He's wearing all this outfit that's like completely like he's about in his 50s. He's been cool, but he's also been the psycho at the window playing the guitar, watching her on her other dates. He's been at the windows. She's been warned off him by Trent and it was Marcus and Trent. Sorry, he went in on Kyle, didn't they? But she's been warned about Marcus. And Dave, it was all going swimmingly for him. He's probably had more kisses off Kristy than anybody. And what does he do? He fucks it completely up. He takes her. His house is lovely. You've got to give him that. His house
Oh
is
yeah.
beautiful, a beautiful house. And she and what like Sam said it to me, and I said I'm going to say that on the show. And Sam turned to me and she went, "She's fucking immaterial as fuck." And I went, "Why?" She went, "Well, she's gone straight into his house and was raving over like this is his house. He's got this, he's got that." And it's like I didn't twig. I know it doesn't make a difference at the end because we'll talk about that, but. She was playing off, especially with Stuart as well on his date in a minute. It was all about what status he had, what money, what the house was, and everything. And I understand you're looking to see if you can bring a kid up, but again, does she live in a bin or something? Has she not got fucking property of her own? I just don't buy it. But however, if you want to fuck yourself up, bring in your house mom, and the house mom comes in, and Christy's like, "What the fuck is this?" That was bizarre.
Yeah. Well, firstly, again, he's, as you said, House is absolutely amazing. There's something weirdly clinical and psychopathic about him. I mean, you haven't seen Dexter, have you? But I mean, this guy
Oh,
Marcus.
I have, yeah, I have.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Oh, right,
not
okay.
all of it. I've not watched all of it. Sam watched it for years. I've watched about 2 or 3 series, but I've flicked in now and again when she had it on, so I
But
know
you
what
get the premise, don't you? And
yeah,
Marcus, he's an anaesthetist.
yeah.
So it would come in handy if you were a serial killer. He just comes across like that. But talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Why would you introduce what is basically like a glorified maid, as your house mum? That is fucking weird, Chris. on any
It is.
level. So I that was bizarre. And just using that word, if he'd have said like this is my, given a different title, this is my house manager, this is my maid, chief maid, or something like that, because basically he's probably an incredibly busy bloke. She does the house, she does cooking, cleaning, and all that sort of stuff. She probably gets paid quite well for it as well. In that high pressure job where he's probably working long hours, he's home not that much, that'd be a different red flag, I guess. But then
Yeah.
having someone look after your house like that, I can imagine it is probably worth, he gets paid a lot of money, so he pays a little bit for someone to keep his house nice and tidy. But by calling her his house mum, I think, signaled to Kristy that there's something not right there. But also the fact that that's how he sees her as well. I think that is a bit of a red flag, to be honest. So, yeah, from that point on, he'd clearly fucked it, and it was only going to go one way, to be honest, Chris.
It was, and I think you're right. And what was the final nail in the coffin was the fake producer-led scene where he comes in the worst green pants I've ever seen. Like, he couldn't even wear like the fucking shit himself. They didn't fit him, and he comes in and went, "Can you turn these up?" And Christy's like, what the fuck? It was like a scene out of The Office. You know what? It's just completely cringe and completely like you're putting your hands over your eyes, but you've got you're like looking for your fingers, aren't you? You're like, is this really happening? He fucks it completely for me, and that for me that was the nail in the coffin for that guy. Now, Dave, I've got to say, we move on to Mr. Smooth Stewart in LA. I'm going to say this to you now, Dave. I'm fucking hot for this episode because I just don't believe it. I think Kristy, and I know we can give predictions, he's going to pick Stuart. You know why I think she's going to pick him, Dave? Because of a career. Because he lives in LA. Where's all the TVs and stuff like that, out? LA.
Yeah.
She's going to fucking pick him. I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know because it hasn't even been broadcast, so I'm completely guessing. However, out of the three, Stuart is the one who seems genuine, but he needs to be himself. It's so fake, all this sales pitch he's giving her. I've got a storyboard of her up, or whatever he called it, a fucking board of her. That's fucking not right. That's like, why would you have a picture of the girl you're with and then a dream board, and then you've got all these like flow chart things coming off and targets for your life? That's bollocks. If I walked into a house and a girl had that, there, I'd be like, well, I'm turning right round like a fucking Simpson. You know, when he comes in with his hat, that meme where he comes in, I'd be like, right, I'll see you later. Fucking blocking him straight away. He's doing everything you would want, but I just don't believe that it's true. And I'm finding it difficult to believe that he's not being himself. He needs to show himself. There's only so many times someone can go, he's such a great guy, Stu. He's going to have his faults, Dave, and they're not going to go as a couple if he doesn't. However, he was absolutely, and I give Stuart 100% credit for this, Dave, and I'm taking the piss a bit. When he asked her about, have you thought about mixed race babies? And she batted it off straight away, politician. She did not know what the fuck to say. And at that point, I thought, you are fucking fake completely. I just thought it was nonsense. It's a hard question. I get that. I have mixed race nephews and nieces. So I get that. It's a hard question. However, she was not prepared for that at all.
No, and how can you get to this point and not have thought about that? It it,
Exactly.
it doesn't make sense at all. And the fact is, it's not just, again, when you're bringing a baby into the world, it's not just about you anymore. It's about this person that you're bringing into the world, and it is not the perfect fucking world, and some of the events of this year have obviously, massively disappointed me to realize that actually fucking are we that much further than like when we were growing up? It fucking doesn't feel like it sometimes, and so it is hard, you know. But you've got to fucking think about that sort of stuff. So I think basically the others have talked themselves out of it. So we get to see, don't we, that she jettisons Marcus from the villa for Anna's house mum. He seems pretty bitter about that. Kyle, she could, in theory, pick him, but I just think she's so fucking materialistic. Like you say, she doesn't see herself in a lifestyle with living with him in his one-bedroom flat in Austin. so Stuart's the only one she's gonna pick. But is she actually gonna go through with it? I don't know.
I don't know.
It doesn't look like it to me.
No, I'm with you, Dave. I'm with you on that. I must admit, though, Dave, again, I'm talking about his dream board, and he takes her to a house which was truly amazing, right? You've got to give him credit. However, the first thing Sam said was, well, it's not child safe because it's a fucking swimming pool. You're a dad as well, Dave. You'd have
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah,
there. There's
yeah.
no way you'd have had a fucking pond in a garden, let alone anything else with young kids.
You know what?
Uh,
And it's funny. You don't even notice you're doing it, but especially with that first child, you realize how fucking dangerous just everything is. When you're a little person who's fucking crawling around, putting anything in their mouth that they can get their hands on, and then when they start walking, fuck me, your heart's in your mouth all the time, isn't it? All your sharp edges that you got for like your TV stand and everything looks like a fucking danger. So. I don't know though. I think I struggle to buy that this is the real Stuart that we're seeing because, like I
yeah,
say, he is going way above and beyond on the sales pitch. That's what this all is. I'm not saying he's not a good guy as well. I think you have to be, to know what the sales pitch is. There's got to be an amount of goodness in there, but he is going way past it, and just no one is like that. No one is that perfect. But he's just played a blinder, I think, Chris. It does honestly. It comes across because it's such a sales pitch. It does come across to me at times as being fake because it's just too much. But he's in a game show. Ultimately, obviously the stakes are high, but he's played a fucking blinder.
yeah. You know what? You're right there, Dave. And I will say, if you wanted to complete that sale and get the fucking deal over the line, you bring your best friends. And they turn up with you at the house and have dinner and stuff, and they're all chatting away. And what does the female friend say? I'm 43 and I froze my eggs. Well, there you go. Bingo.
Yeah,
We have a winner. He
yeah,
did everything correct. That, and it was nice of him to do that. I think he was trying to say, like you said, I think he's the best of a bad bunch. He's a good guy, but I just want to see him. They're not going to last. If she doesn't see his faults and he doesn't see her faults, and we get these fake Vaseline fucking smeared camera shots of him looking like $1 million, that's not real life, Dave. We've had a fucking right skinful last night. A fucking bottle of Jack Daniels and that. You wake up in the morning, you've got fucking dog breath. You're like wandering round. You're like, oh my god, and it takes you a bit. I haven't got hangover, but you're just like, oh my god, and that's real life. This isn't real life, and I just don't believe any of it. I just don't believe it. I'm telling you now, if we do a revisit on this show, I'll be amazed within 6 months if she's with either Kyle or Stuart, because she ultimately voted off Patrick Bateman, Marcus, didn't she? He's gone.
yeah.
He's never to, and he got a bit arsey. He was like, "Oh, we've had a few kisses and stuff." A bit like what Matt, not Matt. It was one of the other guys was proper snarky over her, wasn't he? Oh, was
Yeah,
it
saying she's
Angelo?
like I think it was
Yeah,
Angelo, wasn't it? Saying
yeah,
she's
yeah,
like a 4 and he's used to, eights and nines or something like
yeah.
that.
But yeah, he was very bitter toward. I sort of get it, but
Yeah, you don't need to do that. It does. It's not a positive thing to do in any scenario. But he was obviously just a bit annoyed and agitated by it. The thing I was thinking, again, Stuart, he handpicked his great friends to come in and talk him up and say all the right things. All I could think was, the amount me and you throw each other under the bus on our various podcasts, we'd be fucked, wouldn't we?
yeah, yeah, big time.
But yeah, Chris, we've got the final coming up, next week. I, I, honestly, hand on heart, I'm kind of ready for this series to finish now. I'm not as invested as some of the other reality shows that we've watched, and I think because of the polish, because of the fakeness, how it comes across, it's not lived up to my expectations, if I'm honest.
No, I'm with you, Dave. I'm pretty much out on it. That's why I'm calling everyone out. I come into it the first episode, and this is fucking amazing. I was telling everyone about it, and as it's gone on, it's just like a drama. It's just a mockumentary, basically. It's just a fake series. The whole thing's bullshit. So,
It's like that shit
uh,
that you like, the Housewives
That,
of X,
fuck
you know.
off. Fuck off. Hey, I told you the best one is Married to Medicine, Atlanta. That is amazing, Dave. 120 episodes. Me and Sam boxed off in lockdown at the start. I'm missing it
Word.
now. Amazing show. But anyway, how dare you question my them sort of series, Dave? But no, but with this though, this has got a reward at the end of it where it potentially bringing a child into the world. That's why I just don't buy it. I don't think anybody's going to be that stupid, and I don't think the producers are going to have that on their hands if they did that. So that's why I just call the whole thing fake. I don't think we'll see another series of this. I'd be amazed. I mean, we'll cover it if it is, but I'll be amazed if they do this again.
It does. It does bring into question your whole morals. I mean, how many Bachelor series have we seen? You know, over the last however many 20 years or however long it's been running, and then they get engaged at the end. How many of those couples actually survive? It seems morally questionable at best to say, right, we're going to have a baby. I know the age group is obviously older, so it's kind of the last chance saloon for Kristy. But and look, there's plenty of single mums out there if it doesn't work out, in the long run. But again, it does seem a bit wrong, Chris. I mean, when we found out about it, we was like, fucking hell, this is madness, but as we're getting close to the end now, and you see, because she's basically going to bring a little person into the world based on a few dates, and yeah, it's not good, is it?
Exactly.
Really?
No.
Not
Exactly.
to put a downer on it all, but it's just like I've not seen anything that says, yeah, these two were clearly made for each other, and good luck to them for the rest of their life. Stuart looks like he's the front runner by far, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think if I
Yeah.
had to pick, he's sorry, Dave, to cut across
No,
you.
no, it's
He
fine.
would be my pick.
Yeah, and like I say, he's played a perfect game. In terms of what he's done, it is a show. There's lots of different people that you're in competition with. Played a perfect game. Can't really fault him for anything really, other than it being too perfect. So I don't know, but I don't feel like they're ready. Bringing a baby into the world is fucking hard, Chris. You know it.
Yeah.
And it tests you in ways that you never thought you'd be tested before. And so, yeah, let's see if maybe we'll see who wins. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Stuart. But then, presumably this was all done like 6 months ago. Once the finals aired, we'll find out. I guess where are they now? Are they just together? Are they, are they married? Are they, what is it? What is the situation?
Yeah, I agree. I'm intrigued for that more than anything, I think, to not see who wins.
Yeah.
Just to see who we're right. So, Dave, if you want to contact us at cdrealitycast on Instagram and Twitter, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to email in, if there's anything you disagree with on me and Dave, or any thoughts you've got on Labour and Love or any of our other shows, just send it over to us. We're not bothered if you call us out, because we'll talk about it on the show. That's what it's all about. Opinions make the world go round. So, Dave, great episode, and we're on for the final next week, my friend. So I'll see you next time.
Bye now.